Hello there, I'm Fernanda Paiva, Hitchhiking Stars, bringing you some insights about the lunations as usual. So today we're going to talk about the full moon in Gemini. So on the 15th of December, and depending where you are in the world, this may be on the 14th of December 2024, there is a full moon happening at 23 degrees Gemini. So as usual, full moons are very much about a culmination. So something coming to fruition, something becoming very visible in the sky for us, very obvious, very much in our faces. And there is a lot of that energy here, and in particular of a more rational quality, because the full moon is in Gemini. So Gemini is an air sign, and air signs are very much connected to the intellect and communication as well. So there could be some very important communication that we have, or information that comes to us as well, something that we didn't know about that gets revealed, or finally spoken up, or finally clear in our heads as well. I think there is a sense of revelations that this full moon could be bringing to us. So as usual, what I'd like to do here is to explore the Sabian symbol for the 23rd degree of Gemini and what that imagery could be talking about, and then have a look at the chart as well. I'm looking at the astrological map of this full moon, and there are a few interesting configurations that I really feel are connected to a sense of reviewing and revelations and bringing questions about beliefs that will be very important to us, that will be peaking around the time of this full moon. All right, so let's talk about the Sabian symbol first. So the symbol for the 23rd degree in Gemini is a carefree children skating on ice. So carefree children skating on ice. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think about this imagery is it dangerous or not? Is it a dangerous scenario, or is it a safe place where our kids can really have fun? So on one hand, for this, and obviously this is another thing that really relates to Gemini, the duality, right? The tarot cards that's associated with Gemini is the Lovers. And the Lovers in a tarot spread is very much connected to decisions that need to be made, and options that are given to us, and often two options that we need to choose from. So it wouldn't be any different with the meaning for the Sabian symbol, because on one hand we've got a sense of childlike play, joy, freedom, flexibility and balance, because to be able to ice skate we need to have a really good balance, right? With basically we're sliding on a blade. So there needs to be a lot of balance in order to be able to have fun and to tap into the joyful feelings. But you are sliding on a blade. So there's also a sense of danger. And this is something that I always it took me a while to realize, but I've always been fascinated by ice skating, like professional ice skating, and watching presentations, couples ice skating together, and to realize how actually dangerous that was when they're lifting the girl up, and the fact that she's got a blade on her feet. So there is a danger there as well. The danger of falling is one, but the danger of cutting yourself or others is another one. But also the danger of thin ice. And that's if the carefree children are not on a ice skating rink, or if they are skating in a lake that they shouldn't really be. So walking on thin ice also gives us that feeling of danger, of being in a situation that's not entirely safe. So there could be revelations about that. So there could be revelations and opportunities in relation to joy, embracing more joy, bringing more flexibility into our lives. And that obviously through more intellectual activities or through communication, anything that's Gemini related, right? More knowledge. I think knowledge is a key word that really embraces both Sagittarius and Gemini at the same time. I think that's one of the things they have most in common, is the thirst for knowledge, for learning more, for knowing more, and the curiosity and the questions, asking questions. So we could bring more flexibility and balance to our lives through the intellectual function and the sense of aliveness and tapping into childlike feelings. Geminis can be very fun and be very much in touch with their inner child. It's a very youthful energy. And at the same time, there is also the thin ice, being, ice skating on thin ice and the danger of falling. And that could be also revealed through communication, through power battles or things that might be going on under the surface that we haven't really looked into, that we haven't really realized. And they could also be connected with communication patterns and the way that we speak. That's not really very clear, or that could be passive aggression, right? In the way that we speak and that we portray ourselves or project ourselves with our words. So those are the things that I thought about with this imagery of the children skating on ice for the energy of this full moon. Now, looking at the chart of this full moon, it does make sense to me, because one of the key configurations, one of the key planetary transits that's still happening and really strong, in fact, is Mars retrograde. So planet Mars is retrograde at 5 degrees Leo at the time of the full moon, and forming an opposition to Pluto in Aquarius and Venus in Aquarius as well. So the revelations could have something of that Pluto-Mars, Pluto-Venus, Mars-Venus energy. So manipulations in relationships, or assertion that we need to do, or reformation of our assertion that needs to happen as well. Because Mars has been opposing Pluto for quite a while now, since Mars was at the end degrees of Cancer, and Pluto was at the end degrees of Capricorn. And then we have that opposition continuing in Aquarius and Leo. And now, before that fades, Mars has also turned retrograde. So it's really lingering. It's really lingering as something that we need to look at. And when a planet retrogrades like that, is an invitation to look at from new perspectives. So this full moon could be a culmination on communication patterns or new information that might come our way that could have something to do with the power struggles of this longer Mars-Pluto configuration that we've been experiencing for a while. So inner battles with people out there, or battles with life, and fighting for survival and all of that we could access insights about. I think the full moon in Gemini can always gift us knowledge and a sense of, I've got information that I didn't have before. So That's one of the key configurations there. But another interesting one, or a couple of other interesting ones, which I really feel resonate very strongly with the sense of tapping into information, having more insight, having revelations, and etc., is Mercury. So planet Mercury, which rules Gemini, so the ruler of the full moon, is stationing to move direct. So Mercury is moving direct a couple of hours after this full moon peaks. So we're really potentially coming into some very important and precious information from the few weeks that we've been invited to review, rethink, reassess. When things started to break down, we're not really, the communication is breaking down. We're not really sure where we stand or what we want to say. So this full moon has that stamped on it, that Mercury is stationing. So that could be some powerful revelations here. I still don't think that the full moon is necessarily the time to convey your message, to rush into saying something, to really speak up. And sometimes, depending on the situation we're in, we do that because there is great pressure or energetic pressure, and we just burst out. Something happens, we really speak up. I don't think that's the right time to do that if you can help yourself. But you could get some very important information. You can get some clarity around the things that you've been thinking about, that you've been reviewing this whole time. So Mercury turning direct is really, really important. And is a Mercury going direct in a wild, but it's still an orb, as with an opposition with Jupiter as well. So Jupiter is also retrograde in Gemini. So Mercury opposing Jupiter in Gemini is a kind of an echo of the full moon configuration, right? We've got 2 planets in Gemini, 2 planets in Sagittarius. So we can zoom in and zoom out in the situations in our lives. Very important for you to find where the 23rd degree of Gemini is. So you can really see where this is falling in your chart. What area? Where are you going to be getting these insights? Where are you going to get these revelations? Nevertheless, that's kind of very powerful, I think, in particular for where we are in the year. That's the end of the year. We're wrapping things up. So to have these planets going retrograde and the full moon in Gemini, etc., is a blessing. Is a blessing that we can really take this opportunity to review, to rethink, to plan ahead, to think about the things we've done this year that we have accomplished, the things that we haven't managed to do, the things that we did that weren't worth our time, and make a vision board for next year. Think about what we actually want to do next year based on this knowledge. So that's something that this full moon could be wonderful for. Yeah. Now, the other configuration that I really want to mention is a longer transit, but nevertheless will be present during this full moon, which is a square between Saturn and Jupiter. So Jupiter is at 15 degrees Gemini and Saturn is at 13 degrees Pisces. And they're headed towards a square because Jupiter is retrograde. And for me, when I look at that configuration, I think the question of beliefs. So this is another invitation here, and is also echoed by a wider square between the full moon and Neptune in Pisces, which is really the question of beliefs. What do we believe? What do we think rationally? Or the words that we choose when we're communicating, do they sustain and do they convey towards the beliefs, the deeper beliefs that we have as well, or not? Are they at odds? What's going on? So again, is an invitation during this time to think about how our thoughts create our reality, but also if our thoughts are connected to the way that we believe, to the higher spiritual values that we have as well. All right. So that's it for today. So I hope you have a wonderful full moon, that you really get some empowering, beautiful insights, and I will be speaking to you all soon. Take care.